Hello, welcome to Feedback for the week of November 10th. It's a week when a game or two might be coming out. I'm Adam Sessler. We're joined by Kevin Kelly, Eric Exene. Eric, is this the first time you're on the show or the first time both of us have been on the show?
Both of you.
Yeah, together. At
So
last.
you've just been sneaking
Meeting
in when
of
I'm
the
not
minds.
here.
Yeah, just
All
once, just once.
Editorial director for G4TV.com, Eric Exene, and of course, Abby Heppy. Yes, Call of Duty came out. Yes, we know. We're going to get to that, but we need to talk about that other thing that came out when I wasn't on the show because I was off enjoying like that third branch of our government and all the fun that comes with that.
I know you called in. It was exciting.
Yeah, I was like fresh from the Supreme Court with that sense of wow. Actually, my feet were frozen solid. It was so cold.
Not that bad.
Yes, it is. It is.
You're going to like northern Canada next year.
I mean,
in
it's
January.
like, it's amazing. This country was built during the Enlightenment, but they weren't so enlightened as to put the capital where it's warmer more of the time. I guess because the West Coast was kind of in some other country's hands at that point.
Beautiful
More
springs
incentive to
and
get in
falls.
and get out. You get in, it's cold. You get like, we got a decision to come to. Let's
Also,
go.
I just want to point this out. When I did do a little tourist stuff, of course, I saw the Washington Mall, stuff like that. Best part, I went and found the Exorcist steps.
Yay!
It's by a gas station. Far less creepy than as portrayed
Yeah,
in the
it's
movie.
not actually as exciting as it
But
sounds.
my wife and I, we don't usually take many photos. We took 7 photos while in D.C., 5 of which are us just going blah on the steps of The Exorcist because, Father
Nice.
Karras, that man can take a fall. Well, he can't take it, but he knows how to really make it look good. Speaking of falls and injuries and stuff like that, Kinect is out.
Yay!
It sounds like it seems like it's doing really well. I haven't popped
Yeah.
into that many game stores, but I've been hearing reports that people who kind of were slow to wanting to get one are not having the easiest of times.
No, it's been selling out. It's been hard to nail one down.
Yeah. So now the people that do have it, of course, as with the Wii,
They're hurting them.
we're
I
finding,
was cheering
we're
for YouTube
finding
videos of
hilarity.
people hurting themselves while playing Kinect.
Yeah,
by
we've
the
been
way.
waiting for this. for
So,
weeks.
so there's one. Some guy actually managed to get his ceiling fan into the HD TV.
Spiking.
What game was he playing?
He was playing
Kinect,
volleyball.
sports. He was playing the volleyball.
Yeah.
He was spiking. And
You literally
just-
jump up and go for the spike. And
Yep.
low ceiling fan, HDTV, not a good combination.
I mean, this does kind of bring into the question. Like, I have my man cave, and I don't know if Kinect's going to work there because I'm trying to allow for the 6 feet. I found a very unscientific way of figuring out if you have enough room, at least if it's 6 feet. I laid down on the
measuring
floor.
tape?
No,
Oh.
I laid down on the floor and I couldn't fit, and I'm not 6 feet, and so I was like, "Look, deductive reasoning." But I guess
not measuring tape.
people have been trying to figure out the space.
He is
from
the measuring
Kinect.
tape. He is the controller and the measuring tape.
Exactly. I'm inspired. I'm very DIY.
Yeah. I had to push everything in my living room all the way back to the end of it, and
Yeah.
so everything. And then I got too lazy to move it all back. Some of my place is just a mess
I
right now.
had the same thing where I had to actually step onto my couch just to get into the green zone when I was calibrating. So I still don't have it calibrated. It's basically acting as a big microphone right now.
Well, the thing is, we were all thinking about the space from the TV, but as this guy's video demonstrates,
Space from other objects also
there's
important.
height.
Space
Think
from
about it.
children also important because if you haven't seen the second video that we were going to reference,
What is it?
It's like a father and son playing Kinect, and they're I would guess they're playing Kinect
Kinect
Adventures
Adventures,
from
yeah.
the
Yeah.
moves that they're doing. And it goes on for like a minute, and then all of a sudden he goes to like do this and just elbows the kid in the face and knocks him on the ground. You can hear the mother screaming from the background, like, "Oh God!"
It's really hard.
so funny.
At least
gets
it's
popped.
living up to its name. I mean, we always thought Natal was so much better, but maybe Kinect really it's more like a boxing reference. So here's this one. I'm glad you're here, Eric, because I think this was your discovery.
Yes. So
Okay, everyone's paranoid that Microsoft is watching you, but it may just be you can watch or hear others.
No, it's not. It's not even. It's when you set up Kinect, you can enable it to video chat and use it as the microphone, and which I had done when I'd set up and forgot about it. And then when I was playing Black Ops, I had a full conversation on the phone and noticed my speaker was flashing. I was like, that's weird. And then I went in and saw that it was not muted by default. It's just automatically broadcasting. And then in that same game later, I heard somebody's wife come home, talk to the guy. He was like,
Cell
has the
phone
baby, all that kind of
conversations,
stuff.
the baby crying. I was actually playing with Eric when it happened, and it was funny because you could hear him, but like couldn't figure out what was going on. And eventually, like that's when he discovered it, and we're kind of going like, why is
Yeah,
Eric?
I sent him messages
Is he
in the game
not-
like, do you have a Kinect? He sent me a message back. He said, yes. I said, well, I know because I can hear you basically everything you're
No,
doing. in
who
your
is it?
room."
Was he on your friends list?
Nope, just some guy.
No, it was a guy in the lobby, and because you can hear the lobby layered with the sound from your party, because we were in a party, and then it was just like babies crying, and we're going like, what is going on?
The Luddite in me, and yes, there is one. His name is Bill. Really, this is just terrifying to me.
And this has got to be happening across the board to a lot of people that are buying Kinect and setting up and forgetting about it.
And
Yeah,
there's
it's
no way
hard to
to
tell
really
if you're in a Black
know
Ops
about
lobby
it.
though, because there's so much jackassery going on
Exactly.
anyway.
And no one's going to say, hey, dude, you're telling us everything that's going on
But
there.
you know
And
what?
frankly, even
Listen.
before Connect, I was hearing crying babies and like, go in the other room, leave
But
me
yeah,
alone.
now I'm glad for Connect because too many times I've heard one-sided cell phone conversations.
God.
Oh yeah, honey. Sure. Okay. And you know someone's on the phone because you can't hear the
I hate-
speaker.
I hate
now
that.
we can hear the whole conversation.
Yep.
Perfect.
Well, I guess, yeah. So if you're out there and you haven't really thought about how you set up your Connect, you are warned because we are listening. And if we get something really good, maybe we'll share it amongst ourselves and never talk about it on feedback so that you know better than to turn off your microphone. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, taught you. Also, I think it was GameSpot was noticing some inconsistencies between how Connect was reacting to
Yeah.
skin tone.
This is kind of a non-story because it ended up being not true. It was mostly lighting.
it was
that
kind of
affecting-
sensationalistic, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Consumer Reports went in and did a whole battery of
I'm
things.
more impressed at Consumer Reports. I mean, wow.
They became the voice of reason on this.
I mean, I don't think I've ever considered going to them for anything video game related.
No.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the last time that they even covered something.
If you want to buy a dishwasher, sure. But if
Yeah.
you want to know about Black Ops, do you go to consumerreports.com?
I mean, it's an exciting magazine that's fun to read out loud to your family. No, it's not. I grew up in Berkeley in the 70s. It was kind of like this Bible inside
I
the
loved
house.
Consumer Reports growing up. I mean, seriously, at like 10, I'd read through all the stuff that I didn't have any interest in buying anyway, but there was some way that they did it I found fascinating.
Did-
I think it's
did
like
you
the
guys-
comparisons
You
and
like the good
stats and
stories or
like,
the
I like
bad
the
stories?
numbers.
Yeah.
Did
That's
you
a good way
guys
of
ever
breaking
watch
stories.
Fight
The bad
Back
one's
with
the best.
David Horowitz?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Sure.
that was like, yes, we'll show you I'm David Horowitz.
I'll write a stern letter to the manufacturer, David.
Yes, and this is the same guy that became the arch conservative, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Anyway.
happened? What happened? to
Moving
him?
on. NBA Elite 11. This was EA's repost. What is this I'm hitting over here? To the basketball juggernaut that is NBA 2K11. It got delayed. Now it got delayed forever and
Yeah.
Yeah.
ever and ever. What happened?
I guess they had sent copies of the game out to long lead publications, and
That's right,
the
because they're-
reviews were incredibly negative. And I mean,
Yeah.
then I guess they delayed
Our,
it.
list,
and
our
then-
listeners may not know that long lead like places like magazines are frequently prepared months in advance,
Right.
And they get copies sometimes earlier than other places like
Right.
us, for instance. And they put out some reviews that came out that were terrible,
Yeah.
outright atrocious.
And of course, this, I mean, I guess people wonder, like, yeah, but there was a finished game. You know, game companies aren't usually that remiss to be like, yeah. I mean, like, look, we got Tony Hawk Ride last year. I don't think anybody was that surprised.
You have to be careful when you're putting out stuff that's like a yearly game, because if you buy one and it's god awful, I mean, your impetus to buy the one the next year is not so much
Especially
there.
in the
means
face
you-
of something like NBA 2K11, which has been such a strong contender in the sports arena.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no,
It's kicking butt,
and
so.
let's just say once again, like that game this year is, even for, I don't play that many sports games, but watching it, I'm like, wow, that is an amazing
Like watching
game.
a sports game.
But that means they flushed all that development money down the drain.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
not
gone.
necessarily. They can look to fold that into.
Well, now
those-
they can just say this is what we don't want to
Well,
do.
I mean, well, we don't really know what was wrong with the game. We
Yeah.
don't know if it was the control. I mean, we can read other people's reviews, but we haven't really gotten our hands on it. So that's one of the things we can figure out.
At the same time, I guess I got to tip my hat to EA. I mean, yeah, they just ate a large chunk of cash, and it kind of,
They're in
let's
a
just
rough
say
spot,
5
so.
years
Yeah.
ago, definitely before Riccatello came back. I mean, remember the Catwoman game? I mean,
Yeah,
they
they
were
would've
not.
shipped it.
They
They
were
would've
more
shipped
than
it.
happy to just kind of give you a polished turd every other week, and it's kind of a statement. I would almost think that they seem to have a larger commitment to quality.
Yeah.
God, that Catwoman game was terrible.
Yeah.
Well, the whole fact that they even had a movie, Catwoman.
But that's the movie studios is a good analogy because imagine spending all this money on a Tom Cruise movie that you've seen trailers for in theaters, you've heard about it in magazines, you've read about it, and then it tests and it doesn't do well, and they're like, you know what, we're going to shelve this film. I mean, studios would not do that. They would go and be like,
they
well,
give us night and
we'll
day.
make
They
something.
just,
Hey, I enjoyed Night and Day. I'm ashamed to say I didn't. do
You
it.
saw Night and
I
Day?
did on the flight to Japan.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
I was about to say, did you
Fair
lose a
enough.
bet? But no, you were just
I was
stuck
trapped
on a
in
flight
a
from
seat,
Japan. Yeah, I tried Jonah Hex on a recent
Oh,
flight
boy.
back from England.
That's worse.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna let your facial expressions speak for all of us.
Volumes.
It's like the English language is not capable of the word I wanted to say. Back to EA. Battlefield Play for free.
Yep.
What is it for those out there that don't know?
It's a web-based shooter, so free to play, and again from the Battlefield franchise. I mean, the name sort of says it all. But they're going into beta at the end of the month. So if you're interested in getting your hands on it, you get a chance to play it then. It's closed beta though. I don't think it's
Closed
open.
beta, yeah.
Now, where does
It's
this? Because didn't they try this once before with Battlefield Friends?
Heroes.
Heroes.
Yeah.
Heroes, not Friends.
This is supposed to be sort of that plus Battlefield 2.
Now, does it look like Battlefield? Or because Battlefield Heroes was definitely of the sort of
Cartoony.
Yeah,
This
it-
looks more realistic.
Yeah.
The screenshots look like Battlefield.
I think they're just drawing from a lot of the transaction opportunities that you have.
Yeah,
within,
free to play is
Battlefield
doing
Heroes.
pretty well for a lot of companies right now. So.
Yeah.
And what did the transactions get you?
You can buy different weapons, upgrades,
Sure.
tons of microtransactions for outfits, everything you
See,
basically think
outfits.
of.
I mean, that's the whole thing. When you have these games that are multiplayer, I mean, if what you're buying is anything more than cosmetic, I mean, how do you maintain the balance inside of the game?
You would be surprised how many people buy cosmetic upgrades for
I
things.
know,
I mean,
I know.
how many people have spent money buying things for their avatar? I'm like, it doesn't mean anything, but
No.
people buy it.
It just science fiction's coming a lot closer. I mean, oh, God. I mean, think about the Kinect. Okay, actually, I want to go back to the Kinect for 1 second because video chat. I love the idea, and I think most of us have read Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace, and the best part of the book is when they explain why the video phone doesn't work. When you're video chatting, you can't ignore the other person in Doodle or
No.
And it's tracking you,
and
so-
you can't do it in your
You can't leave the
underwear.
room.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
if it
like
had wheels, it'd follow you
You
into the
can
next
do it in
place.
your underwear. Just please don't
Yeah,
for all of
yeah.
our sakes.
You can
Yeah.
I found that you could pause. You can hit the A button to pause, so you can do like a nice screenshot of yourself, and then you can do whatever you want while they're still hearing your voice. So
I
that's
see.
how
I'm
you
wondering why
ignore
can't
them.
there be, like with all the Facebook security leaks and all that? Why can't there be one that leaks people's secret living room photos from
Oh,
Dance
yeah.
Central and Connected Adventures? Because I am sure that there are some of the most spectacular
Mm-hmm.
photos.
goofy shots.
People not wearing clothes, people doing
All
stupid
sorts of
shit.
crazy
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Oh well, that was on
I have a phrase of what I think is coming, and it's called Uno without the game. It's
more
just
like-
a lot of penis.
I think they call it chat roulette, Adam,
They
and
call
it's
it
been invented.
Ono. It's called Ono.
Oh no,
Yeah, Ono.
I like that.
Because we're seeing a lot of stuff we don't want to see.
I
Somebody
was
in a-
thinking of onanism actually, which kind of fits into that as well.
I thought you were thinking of Yoko Ono.
Oh no, now I am.
No. Well, someone in a forum somewhere was not aware that the Kinect takes your photos during games, and apparently they were playing Kinect naked. And then after the game, they saw the little playback, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is in my Xbox forever. I have to delete it." And truth be told, Kinect does store those photos. You can actually go into games, into settings, memory, games. Under Dance Central, you can actually delete them on your own, but they're in there, so you got to be careful with.
Go
Unless
over to
you
people's
share
houses
them,
and go
they
through their
stay on
Connect
your
photos.
system.
Yeah, they're on your drive, but if somebody gets in there, you're taking a shower, your girlfriend's cruising through the Connect. Oh my God.
Well, she's probably seen you naked at this point in the
Yeah, but
relationship.
what if you're
I
naked
would
with
hope.
somebody
This is
else
really
in this
about you,
picture?
isn't it?
It is. No, I'm very traditional.
Okay, I had a joke there. I'm being a really good boy. I'm just going to resist the urge.
Thank God.
But man, that urge is great. Okay, in the Japan category, they've announced Gran Turismo 6,
Is this anyone surprised?
but 5 isn't out.
Well,
Yeah.
rumors are now
We don't
that
even know when 5's coming out.
No,
think
no.
we've seen
people
rumors
have
that it's
seen
supposed-
it's been
reviews,
pressed.
There are copies that have been popping up.
But they're like warm. They've just come off the
Yeah.
printer, literally.
But they won't commit to a date?
No, that's what's really bizarre. I've seen
Yeah.
all sorts of December dates being thrown around by websites. No one has even said if it's going to be by the end of the year.
I mean, what did you really think they were going to do next?
I know it's out there, but it's just like, hey, it's like that line from Hamlet: "The funeral bacon meets at goldie furnished forth the marriage tables." It's
We
like,
don't even have to worry about
it's
this
just-
for another 15 years, Adam.
I know that.
It will be a long time.
Okay,
To be fair, it was not announced. He was at an event, and there was some sort of car that he
There's a
nominated
SEMA
for car
car
of the year, and they
show,
said,
out in
SEMA,
Vegas,
"Oh, you can't
yeah.
get your car in there." The Grand Dam or whatever. It was.
Actually, we sent Blair
No,
Herter
we'll delay
out
the
there.
game another year to
Yeah.
get that in there.
I'm surprised
We
they
went
didn't.
out there, and it's going to be up on the site, and it'll be on X-Play
Yep.
next week. I do want this quote, and Kaz made a statement. This is Kaz, as in I run Sony. Kaz, not Kazunori.
Right.
Right. It's not something that we can talk lightly on. It took 2,000 days to get all the ideas that went into GT5. It's just too early to be talking about GT6. Yes, you're right about that.
2,000 days.
To get all the ideas that went into GT5?
Just the ideas?
More cars, more tracks?
I know.
Damage?
kart racing.
What else is in this game? All the ideas.
Zombies.
Yeah. Oh.
The way
God.
that
You
the way
say
that
that
everything
now.
else is going.
You
Zombies.
say that now, and then there's going to be DLC for GT5.
Okay, and one more story that we can file in the we kind of figured this out.
Duh.
Activision makes a lot of money.
Yes.
Off of Call of Duty and World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I mean,
Who knew?
I thought
Blizzard, World of Warcraft, and StarCraft, right? So
Yeah.
what's interesting is you're not seeing, a lot of the other titles they put out throughout the year really aren't resonating.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought Singularity was going to pull them through most of 2010.
Okay, I didn't.
Somebody went back in time
I think
and
at some
actually
point
changed
they
that
thought
timeline.
that. They thought that at one point.
I mean, maybe they should have a special game called Tony Hawk Rides into a Singularity, and then it's like there's that magical world where all those other releases somehow really kind of thrust that bottom line right up into your
That
I wonder
might
what
face.
the
actually
controller
be-
would
that might
look
be
like
fun.
for that game.
So,
Hoverboard.
I mean, obviously, StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, it's like more than 1 million copies in the first 24 hours of release.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be getting Cataclysm, and one thing which I think is a new. Treyarch made a comment that I think as of 1 o'clock in the morning after the midnight launch of Black Ops, they had already logged 1 million people
Oh.
playing
Yeah,
Black Ops on Xbox Live.
Even before it was live on the East Coast, I think I saw it go up to about 700,000. It was hovering at about 600,000 for a while, and then it shot up later. But it was great because it's already keeping track of all these stats in the game. So it was telling you like 10,000 inappropriate clan tags have already been like banned or like, and just like, but the stats are amazing and they were going up. Like it tells you how many years people have been playing the game already. And when I
gross,
started, it was like 78, and by the time I ended, I mean it was like in the hundreds.
There was something about like how much people have spent credit wise,
Yeah.
COD points wise, as being like the GDP, 1% of the GDP of Ireland or something like that.
How many
So-
tons of C4 people have tried? It was fantastic watching all of those stats go up last night. It was
even has
amazing.
weird stats like you can do contracts in the game, and there's like 389,000 contracts have been missed, and it's just like
Yeah.
you're tracking how many didn't get done.
It tells you how many bullets have been fired, which was the crazy way. It was like 1.9 billion or something by the time
Wow.
I was. I don't
That's
know.
a
It
lot
was
of bullets.
insane.
Wow. So I mean, COD, World of Warcraft. I mean, I guess with Bungie, even though that's further in the future, I mean, it's almost like it's trying to create these three massive pillars that are
Yeah.
going to support. COD, I think, opens up sort of a can of worms that we're going to get to when we talk about
Yeah.
the review in terms of its longevity. So let's not waste any more time. Yes, this is the week for Call of Duty Black Ops. It came out. Abby reviewed it. You went out to Ojai?
Yeah, they took us
Activision
out
had
to
an event?
Ojai. They did. It was like of the first maybe 24 hours you pretty much spend in your hotel room. I don't know, just like playing. It wasn't that long because the single player campaign's like 7.5, 8. I played on hardened. And then you basically sit in a room for the next 3 days and you play and you eat and you play. And they flew us up in a helicopter, which was kind of awesome. But it's just long hours. I think I couldn't even look at a screen, I think, by the time I got back from
And
that.
I got to say, I mean, and I've said this before. I understand, especially for IPs that are this important, like Call of Duty, like Halo, where like there is some piracy or just those
Yeah.
issues. This is, I've always said, not the ideal way to have a reviewer review a game.
No.
It's almost like under duress, and that any flaw in the game that's keeping you from getting to that goal point where you can go home really gets magnified.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no way around it.
But at the same time, they had some community members. They had the whole development team there, so it was actually really great to have a chance to play the multiplayer against a lot of people who are very good at it, as well as a lot of people who are not so good at it. And it's just which is really nice because sometimes you get in with a few people that are playing early and it's like you don't get a real sense of how the game is going to play out just because
people are still
everybody's
trying to
not
get their sea
not
legs.
but also not using all of the abilities that you have in the game. So that was good. It's also nice actually to have a lot of hours to just sit there and play through something.
And the point being is that despite sort of like the unique issues that can happen at these offsite reviews, you really like the game.
Yeah, I did. I mean, the multiplayer to me is where the series needs to be right now. They've incorporated a lot of stuff that I think that we've seen other, popular shooters doing. Frankly, I was a little bit jealous of the Halo community. They get a lot of things that we don't in terms of the stat tracking, the theater mode. They sort of the similar like challenges / contracts, and it was great to see those brought into Call of Duty because those are all features that I personally want.
I mean, this is Treyarch has always been in IW's shadow, and we've talked about it a lot on the show that like this is that moment to kind of really prove themselves, and it looks like they were really going all in. I mean,
Kevin?
Not just all in. I mean, Zork, the entire game of Zork is in this game. You can play it at a terminal in the main menu. It's Infocom is actually now owned by Activision. So they own the rights to all those games. But that alone, to me, I was just totally thought that was awesome. But then they have this top-down zombie mode called Dead Ops Arcade. It's like Smash TV, but with zombies and soldiers. You have the classic zombie modes from World at War come back, but now you're being... Well, I won't spoil it, but there's some cool little things you'll find out about
it
this
is
new
incredibly
zombie mode.
cool. If anyone knows anything about me, it was like someone snuck into my brain and found my two most favorite things and put them in the game.
It was so hard for me not to tell you about it.
Yeah.
Well, I
it's-
knew how much you would enjoy it.
Yes. Eric?
So, I mean, I think that they did a really good job with this single player game. I love the way that the story is told. I love the set pieces of what you actually go through. The multiplayer is totally improved, and all the stat tracking and the combat record and all the little tweaks and customization you can do is great. The one thing, and I know I might be an outlier here, but I just feel like there's a fundamental flaw since Modern Warfare, and that is this idea of rewarding people that can kick your ass. So people are just constantly getting kill streaks and like dropping napalm on you. So you're basically spawning and dying and spawning and dying. And that happened to me a lot in the multiplayer game still with, the jerks that end up basically abusing the system. And I think while I like
what's
it, but
the
it's just,
abuse that you saw?
which that, people that are really good at the game are ramping up on those kill streaks really fast and then stocking them up and basically dropping 7 of them on you one time. And you have attack helicopters above you and napalm strikes and dogs. And you're just like,
Is this inherent in that mode with the perk system?
I think it's inherent to ever since modern Call of Duty 4, essentially.
I mean, and I totally see your point because I find myself in the same position sometimes and not on the other end of it a lot of the time. And, but how can you not reward them? I mean, you could play the bare bones modes. And
True.
then, and
there's combat training because I was thinking for somebody that just jumps into Black Ops, they're going to have a rough time if they go online.
Well, and
so
there's
there's that combat training which lets you play against bots. And the bots are actually pretty good.
They are.
They're not super smart. They won't lay down really hard tactics or anything, but they, if you play on the hardened or even the veteran
Yeah, it
level.
sounds like on a veteran that it's almost scary.
They'll
what
knife
this
you.
AI
They'll
can
flank
do.
you. They know where you are. They're the AI. They're in this game.
Yeah.
But you do make a really good point, I think, about matchmaking. And Call of Duty it presents an interesting matchmaking challenge too, because I know at least in the last ones it would. It'd look at how much you progress in the game and how much time you've spent playing. But the amount of time that you've spent playing is not indicative of your skill level at all.
No.
And
that is very true.
and so when you're matching, but I'd play with a group of people, and there's some people who are haven't played as much and are kind of low level, and then we have the people who were like a level. And the first was 50 and 70 prestiges and had gone in were on their 10th prestige or and we'd get in these rooms, or we'd get in with people that were all like that, and they'd kick our asses because some of the people on our team had just played a really, really long time, and it's not fair. And there is something that needs to be figured out in terms of matchmaking.
Eric's point, it's like in a racing game when you're suddenly down a lap and a half, and you're just like, there's no possible way for me to come back. Why do I keep racing in this?
It's
and
very
why does the guy in
frustrating.
front of you keep dropping mines? That's basically what it's like.
Because
but
he
I
really
think
has it out for
It's
you.
not all the game's fault because I think communication. Obviously, we know a lot of things that make those type of games sessions a little better, and I think.
And I have heard reports of care package glitching and stuff like that, which who knows?
Inevitable
I haven't
stuff.
run into a lot of that yet. And actually, a lot of the matches I've been in have been, really well balanced. There's been a few that were just train wrecks.
At what point did Modern Warfare 2 start to expose kind of its limitations in terms of the glitching?
Immediately.
So, I mean, I think especially because you've been playing quite a bit, and I think other people have too, that I think at this juncture, we would have already been noticing the problems with.
By immediately, within that first week.
Yeah.
It for people that
But
are
it did
going
take
to...
Infinity Ward a while to squash some of those, especially the fast running.
And there were more that kept popping up. I mean, I think there was eventually stuff in that game that just never got fixed. And I have to say, even despite the fact that people will find those things that are very annoying and those glitches to us, that there's a lot more balance in this game.
Have you noticed there's already a 7 megabyte update for this game that you have to download?
Yeah, I downloaded them immediately.
I don't know exactly
when I got...
what that addressed, but last night I was playing and I wasn't able to update because my connection's out at home right now. There's a level you get to where you're in this underground facility and there's a lot of animals that are being used for experimentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there were tons of soldiers in there just standing there, not moving. You couldn't shoot them, you couldn't kill them. I think that must be the glitch that this
Well, see,
addresses.
that's odd because I've played without the patch now. Played through the single player campaign twice, and I never saw that.
I don't know
never
why
saw that
happened.
either.
It was creepy.
So,
But that level was the one level in the game that kind of bugged me, and I I didn't really. I mean, it was sort of a really personal thing, so I didn't really talk about it in the review. First of all, kudos to the sound designers because the sound
Yes.
in that level is disgusting, and I mean that as a compliment. But like the squealing animals and everything is just
Yeah.
kind of epically disturbing.
Without spoiling, like in Modern Warfare 2, there was the level with all the chickens in
Right.
cages, and there ended up being an achievement if you killed
Yeah.
Yes,
all the chickens
but
or a certain
you did
number of
that
chickens.
anyway through the course of playing through because you couldn't help it. You have like a shotgun
grenade
and
or
or
something,
a
yeah.
grenade, and you're
Yeah,
like,
but
just
then you
blowing
did
up.
have to go seek out those extra chickens because it was a time thing. I think you had to kill like
You
10,
had to
15
go seek
seconds
out
or
those
something. So
extra
you had to
chickens.
go do it.
That one just popped for me in the course of regular
All right,
gameplay.
sure
but I was
did.
throwing grenades and stuff.
Okay.
And this one, they're asking you to kill. Was it seven or
Seven
10
monkeys.
And that's
Seven
for an
monkeys?
achievement. Let's just point out that to
Yeah.
proceed
Yeah,
in
it's
the
not part of the
game,
game.
this is not
No,
required.
but to get the achievement, it's you have to kill 7 monkeys in like 10 or 15
And the
seconds.
achievement
or
is called
something.
"I don't like monkeys." I'm
Yeah.
like, what do they have against
I
monkeys?
don't really
Yeah.
like monkeys that much, but I don't.
I
hate
hate
them.
them.
love monkeys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I love
cute.
monkeys.
Okay, let me say, monkeys are fine. I hate chimps though. I know they're not monkeys, but they're
chimps
awful and
scare
creepy,
me,
and I
but
hate them.
I love the fact that there's something that I don't know. It's like genetically there's something there.
Creepy.
Especially I like to
Chimps
kill
don't
my
like
other-
you.
Yeah, I know.
You've heard
Oh,
what they do to
trust.
people.
You should see what they've been sending me in the mail.
DVDs.
It's a big pile.
Literally. Well,
Anyway,
I think Eric touched on a good point that the single player. I really feel multiplayer aside. Multiplayer to me, I played a lot. When I first got the game, I didn't play single player. I just jumped right into the multiplayer. I played probably about 4.5 hours straight. Love the multiplayer. It's great. It does turn into Modern Warfare 2, though. It's the same, you're multiplaying your
But
multiplayer.
as Abby said, which I think is a very strong statement, I'm not saying it's inaccurate, was that Modern Warfare 2 was kind of the beta for what this is.
True.
That this really shows like those
Yeah,
improvements.
there's a ton of
But-
polish. Yeah.
And the
Getting-
changes are subtle, a lot of them. You
Right,
know,
but
right.
very
Very
adding
important.
those
in
modes was
totality.
definitely a huge
Yes.
shot in the arm for Treyarch. I mean, adding those wager matches, the bare bones things,
Well,
those
Bare Bones was
fundamentally
actually a
changed the way
mode
you
in
play.
Modern Warfare 2. It was something that came out after
That's
release.
true. Yeah, you had to.
So
get
that
it
one
via
was already
patch.
out.
But as you're saying about single player, because it is this is a more robust. I also think that narratively they found a good strategy that I think allows for the gameplay to flow better. So
Yes.
I would describe Modern Warfare 2 and even Modern Warfare is like at moments it just got turgid where it's like, oh god, it's just a lot of people I need to shoot and just kind of like inching along. Here it's like they knew that phase of the level needed to end at a certain point before it really starts to outlast its outcome.
And the way they transition is brilliant because it just fits in well with the way
Yeah,
they're
having
telling the
that
story.
interrogation thing, which allows you to just, the flexibility to jump to any location is really nice.
It is, yeah, no, like their narrative structure. But I think you had another point you wanted to make there, Kevin.
Well, just that, like Eric was talking about this when we were talking about the game the other day. The level design for the single player, it is an enormous variety of gameplay that you're going through. There's there's vehicles. There's single player where you're by yourself. You're with teammates. You're trying to be stealthy. You're trying to be just outgun everybody. They did a really good job of showing you okay, this is going to be a little different. Whereas Modern Warfare 1 and 2, a lot of those levels played pretty much the same way. You had to go in, you had one objective, kill somebody or get something, and then get out. And then when you jumped back out to that map screen or where you were in the satellite view, you were like, okay, I'm bored with this story part. I want to get back in and start playing. This one, Black Ops, marries it all together. And I never skipped one cutscene in this, which is kind of rare for me. I
Because
don't like
there's a
cutscenes.
sense of mystery, and I think that's the thing. Because of the framing device where you're being interrogated, and there's something that you as the player don't really know, that I was really curious to find out. Even though I still think that, the storytelling overall, is not the best that you're going to find in video games this year. But there was something compelling, and I think that when you look at sort of Modern Warfare and a lot of other games out there, where it's like start at point A and you're getting to point B. And it's like, oh, look, twists and turns. Oh, no, I didn't have no idea. I mean, here, there was something just slightly more compelling. Although,
Well, you mentioned it was like a lost element almost.
and I
They
also
had
thought,
mystery with the numbers.
Yeah, and when I
things.
keep thinking about it, it's a better Michael Bay film, right? Because the story's better, but they still have all these explosions and amazing action
David S.
sequences.
Goyer
and
was
stuff.
the story consultant on it. Am I crazy in thinking that he helped on the Spider-Man movies?
Batman.
Batman, yeah.
Sorry, Batman. But I mean, there is something cinematic, which gets to the point that Abby brought up. There is a very strange tone in this game, and I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, it's really hard to.
In the beginning, it feels posited in the real world. And then without kind of letting you know what's about to happen, it kind of goes, we're going to leave that.
Yeah,
And kind of go off in
bye.
this very strange territory that seems somewhat reminiscent of Cold War action movies, but at the same time, I can't tell if stuff that I thought was supposed to be, if not campy, at least awareness,
Intentionally funny.
or that cliche. I especially the very last image you get is right before the now I understand the great mystery revealed at the very end. It's a little bit strange. I mean, did you finish single player?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, did you have a funny moment of like, I can't tell how I'm supposed to react to this?
Not really. I mean, I feel like I liked everything that they were putting in front of me, and I saw it coming, and I knew what was going to be happening, and I got that sense of tone. It's very consistent. It's interesting if you look at Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 and what Infinity Ward did with those games and storytelling, and what Treyarch has done with World at War and with Black Ops, which are kind of like timelines that talk to one another. I mean, Reznov is a character that's in World at War, is a character in Black Ops, and the tone, even though World at War was certainly more grounded, there's something about it that I could see being more. I don't know. It's hard for me to find the right words.
I mean,
for
it's like
it. Yeah.
it's
flip.
glib. I mean, it's. I'm not thinking it hurts the game.
I spent the last half hour of any cutscene like just laughing my ass off. At
the end?
that point, I did.
I left I left out loud. I'm
Not
pretty
even
sure-
just the intentional joke at the end, but
Oh,
the
no.
unintentional stuff leading up
Oh
to
no,
it. I was in
my
stitches.
Connect heard me laughing. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, of course.
You
There's still a lot
definitely,
at that
definitely
point.
feel like you've left the military aspect behind though
Yeah.
with this game. It's
Yes.
like you're off the charts with that stuff.
Well, and then when you think where it came from with the original Call of Duty on the PC, where I felt that there was a real reverence, and what I respected the 1st one for is that it was not just look what America did in World War II. The fact that they showed the Russian campaign and helped remind people that the casualties that the Soviet Union endured are so astronomical,
Yeah.
and that like I think that they really did a good job, and there was, like I said, there was a sense of reverence, and now we're in this kind of very strange. It's a very dark action movie. It's one of those violent games I
Yeah.
played all year. Although I was going to ask you guys, when you're playing the least single player, like a lot of the enemies can take quite a few bullets. Is there a slight squish sound when you finally get them? There's something, or like a little bit of
Oh,
blood.
yeah, yeah.
There's something
Well, there's definitely
there.
blood. Yeah, there's a blood pop you can
Yeah,
see, especially
it's,
at a
like, it's
distance.
almost like you have bubble wrap. And it's filled with a blood pack. I mean, I hate to say it, I found it horribly satisfying, and that must be one of the finest feedback loops you can find in games this year. It sounds horrible.
Well, then you noticed, right, with certain weapons, there was a lot of dismemberment going
Yes.
on.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you
Oh
use
my
the shotgun
God.
at close
Oh, no.
range.
This
wow.
game-
A shotgun that just blows people's limbs off left and
Limbs,
right.
hands. There was a hand
By
once
far
I came
one of the
across.
most violent games of the year.
It is a mature
Hell.
game, but I think along the lines of being mature, and I don't know if you guys had a problem with it. I didn't really have a problem with it, but the profanity during the interrogation sequences in between the missions. I mean, Mason is dropping F-bombs like
Yeah, he did.
every 3 seconds, and I thought it was a little much.
I think that's too close to how adamant I speak.
It is true. Like
That
I said.
that didn't get to me as much as. Now I don't know. Possible spoiler warning here, but we revealed this when the launch trailer came out. You saw briefly JFK.
Right.
JFK's in the game. They did not hire the best voice actor for this.
No, they
That
hired
was a
Mayor
little,
Quimby. It's Mayor Quimby.
Yeah.
They should have gotten the guy to do Mayor Quimby's voice, whoever is
Yeah.
Hank Azaria or
Yeah,
whatever.
it was
is
a little
like,
weird. The
"All
first
right,
time you hear that, you're like,
let's
"Ah,
talk,
huh."
Mason. You're the best we got.
And it fits in with the other, but oh yeah, when you run into him in the game, it's just kind of like, huh. But Robert McNamara is
Yeah, he's
excellently
in it.
rendered.
Yeah, kids, Fog of War. Maybe now you can go see the fine Errol Morris movie about
He's
Robert
why you
McNamara,
wear
who's in the
seatbelts.
game. He is why you wear seatbelts. He's important for other reasons too. Like the word morass will be inextricably linked to Robert McNamara. Okay, so I want to get to another thing. Call of Duty as a franchise. Personally, I want them to stop here. I want them to stop for a while. I don't see where this goes.
Yeah.
I really like Black Ops. I'm done.
But you know,
Like, I
but you
just-
know,
I
it's
just-
got
DLC
this stuff.
packs in the way, so you're not.
Yeah,
done
but
with
DLC
Black
is
Ops.
Maps
totally
and stuff like
different.
that. But
Okay.
it's like, look, we don't know for a fact. The likelihood we're going to see one next year is very likely, and it's just like I see the Guitar Heroing and the Tony Hawking of this franchise, and given the remarkable amount of work and effort that clearly Treyarch put in, and obviously Infinity Ward did that. Here's a franchise that has been so significant to the gaming industry that I hope and I don't have much confidence that Activision will respect its legacy. It's been so influential on all of the shooters out there. I want it to go quiet so that we can find something new.
Yeah, and I mean, again, considering how important the multiplayer component has become to that series, I mean, the reason that I was so excited to have this one come out and to play it was because, Modern Warfare 2 didn't really work as well.
Yeah.
And, I played COD4 even over the release of World at War because the multiplayer I found more appealing. But
Yeah.
now you have sort of this really heavily tweaked version that I like. I don't I don't think I could just abandon it in another year for something else. I mean, what would it would just be new maps, or are we going back to olden timey shooting?
I mean,
I don't know.
You know, Coach, remember, like, kind of implied like there might be a model where for these multiplayer games it's a subscription. I mean, do we just dispense with the single player and that you have sort of multiplayer that you buy into, and that's what feeds the
I wouldn't be
updates, new maps,
surprised.
and things going down the line?
And then there's also that single player Sledgehammer, action adventure Call of Duty game. We don't know what anything's going on with that, but that's something that could actually rear its head.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, I mean, this is true for a lot of games. And not saying these games are bad, but like another Fallout, there's an Assassin's Creed coming, there was Fable. This entire late year slate of games, I don't think I sat down going, I want one of these.
Yeah.
It's like, as I said on my soapbox, there's that phrase, how can I miss you if you won't go away? And they won't go away.
I completely agree with you, but I think when you sell
The almighty dollar.
300
Yeah.
million,
I know.
Yeah.
You know a
copies and-
sequel's
But
right
then once
coming.
again, it's like that short-term punch rather than that long-term investment. That
Yeah.
there are. Look at StarCraft. It took 10 years, but hey, it's there, and they found a really neat model by having 3 iterations of the game to roll out over the next few years. That is just it's a little bit disconcerting, and I just I need some more. I need something new in my shooters. I loved playing the single player. And it's one of those where I could admire it, but at the same time, intellectually, if I didn't feel I was obliged to do it, to be able to talk about it, on the shows and stuff like that, I could have put it down and not necessarily felt that I needed to go back to that immediately. And this is not, I'm not trying to say anything wrong with Treyarch or anything like that, but it's like, I feel like I've just been down these paths so many times.
well, it needs some serious competition because that's going to stimulate innovation.
And
essentially. And we need more.
And while Medal of Honor was strong, I don't think
It didn't
that,
get there
Yeah,
yet.
It didn't. And
Well, when we put up a history of Call of Duty as part of this game coming out of all the past titles, and when they announced that they were leaving the World War II setting and going to Modern Warfare, I was one of those people that was not super happy about that decision. Yes, the game did end up being amazing, but
because you do programming at the History Channel as a
for the
side
military
gig.
channel, I love those. Like I could watch those just like where they have the camera mounted on the plane
But
or
do you
whatever.
read U.S. News and World Report? My God.
no,
look
I
at
just
I'm
watch
with
the
you.
military
I love
channel.
them. I go for
watching
the Civil War stuff, but I don't think I want to play a Civil
Why
War.
don't? Why isn't there a Civil
maybe.
War shooter?
I don't
That could
know.
be exciting,
Well, there
right?
was.
The guns aren't as
Did
exciting.
you watch Glory?
True. Yeah, it was a lot of reloading,
Yeah.
but they had
and,
revolvers.
and there have been Civil War games. Just none of them have been really that
Good.
amazing.
Horrible.
Because
Or
they're
good.
They're kind of aiming for that. All due
They've been
respect,
okay,
that
but-
type of Civil War enthusiast. Anyway, moving on.
But we do know that Infinity Ward is working on Modern Warfare 3, right? They've said that's their next title that they're developing. So we're going to see that possibly as the next game.
Maybe it's the next game.
I think as a final thought, this is a very impressive game, Black
Yeah.
Ops. Where does it put Respawn Entertainment? I mean, all of a sudden that legacy, and we've been seeing it on the comments on our website. Every one of these kids, because of the Infinity Ward stuff and that's Treyarch, had no hopes for this game. This game has come and really surpassed not just expectation, but I think its predecessor.
Yeah.
This puts the Respawn guys in a very interesting light in terms of what they're going to have to sort of produce and where the expectation is going to be on them for whatever game is
If
coming
they're
out.
even doing something that's similar.
That's true. I mean, we're just assuming they're doing a shooter. They've always done shooters, but
Well, not even just shooter, but time period. I
Still,
don't know.
though, Treyarch was, in a way, handed the keys to the kingdom
that's true.
and said, here, you can, put new curtains in the windows and reshape the hedges and re-release this house.
They
but
have
it's still
hedges?
the same. Well, I'm using this
Lucky
bizarre house analogy that may
This
not
is
be
an
working.
amazing
Yeah.
castle.
But, it's like they built on what previously.
Of course.
Infinity
Yeah, and I
Ward's
don't think anybody's
engine-
denying
No,
that.
yeah, this was not built from scratch by any stretch of the imagination.
But having said that, they could have easily kind of half-assed this. And it's.
You could have
like you
botched
said,
this
it's a great
easily,
game.
No,
and
yeah.
they didn't at all.
No, it's-
I mean, the
it's
attention,
really
as I
good.
said, like the attention to detail and just the little tweaks, that stuff that they didn't have to put in, but they're there. I mean, the streamlining of all the menu stuff, being able to back your party out of a lobby, having those flags when you zoom in over them just disappear and get out of your view site. Like these are all things I wrote about. Is like they're small tweaks, and maybe me and a few other people who play, a few other million jillion people who play every single day. I mean, but like. God, those were nice. And the theater,
Yeah.
like everything, like
Theater
this,
mode's great.
they finally really hit on everything that I wanted out of that. And even their like additions, their fun stuff like the RC car and the flame, like they're great. They're fun. I love dropping napalm strikes.
I even love
go,
the bizarre-
I go RC car to napalm strike.
I even love the bizarre Kobe Bryant, Jimmy Kimmel commercial.
The commercial's amazing.
It's one of the
I laughed.
craziest.
I
So
love the
much.
packaging, and to rub it against the side of my face, I find it very calming.
I caught him in his office doing that earlier.
Yeah,
Was
actually,
it? I hope it was that package.
Yeah. It's,
Well, if you smell the new game card, it smells
I'm
nice.
like,
Shut up.
Mason.
Oh, now you're just being creepy.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for the review, Abby. I have every reason to expect this will not be the end of our discussion of Call of Duty Black Ops. I expect this game to be.
When I come in a
Selling
month
really well.
raging because some kid's glitching. And
Yeah,
stuff,
but once again, I've been seeing the guys from Treyarch throughout the year as they've been putting this game together. I realized that they definitely wanted to prove something. I think I can confidently say you did. Congratulations to that entire team on a job. Very well done. Let's get to our question of the week from John Galt. And that's a dash. So I don't know if this is a name, if it's a sign of something. Am I missing something on this?
I don't
No,
think
that's
so.
his
All right.
login.
You might not be able to do spaces on our website.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, look, he had his name. Bravo. Ballsy, man. Every year, game review sites come up with their list of the top games of the year. What would you say defines a game as a game of the year? I can imagine the process for determining what some deem the best game of a given genre, but how do you decide the best game cross genres? And do you think that is a fair representation of a game of the year? Oh, John. God, do I agree with you.
We sit in a room and yell at each other.
Yeah, I mean, top 10 lists are. It's like the cheap crack of all entertainment press. It's like, let's do a list. People love lists. We
Yeah.
like compiling lists.
How about a
Best of
countdown?
lists.
But yeah, it's game of the year is usually it's just to kind of identify something remarkable. To say it is the best, I think is a tough one because
Yeah.
look at this year, how many good games we have. Mass Effect 2, Rock Band 3. Is there, outside of the fact that there is an interface that fingers are somewhere associated with it, that's about all you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no mathematical formula. And we were talking about it before. It's really experience based and about
Yeah.
what kind of experiences you yield from that
Plus,
from the game.
don't
So-
companies sort of deem themselves Game of the Year when they put out those Game of the Year editions? They're not taking that from a real like.
It's kinda
Okay,
like when
we
you go
were
to
the Game of the
Vegas,
Year.
And you go to Vegas, they're like named Entertainer of the Year
Yes.
by a magazine owned by this hotel.
Best
Exactly.
hot dog. And,
I mean, it's yeah.
And and the other thing too is that like we don't always agree on
No.
a lot of games. We don't even all like the same genres. I know that we the last 2 weeks probably a bad example of that because we're like we love Black Ops, we love Connect, but like we have arguments in the office all the time about
yeah.
someone that really loves one game and doesn't like another. I mean, it's hard. Just getting us to agree on one game is hard enough.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that somehow we sound with the unified voice is because we model ourselves after the
Right.
Chinese Communist Party, who has a lot of infighting, but,
Exactly.
that's
I wonder
one
what
proud
their
voice.
Game of the Year was.
What's interesting about
Civilization
this
5.
year's game
It was
of the
called
year,
Mining Disaster.
What's interesting about this year's game of the year stuff though is that they're going to be there's a lot of sequels and it's more like iteration and not so much innovation. I think a lot. in that
No,
regard.
I mean, there's
So-
a couple. I mean, we've seen a couple of sequels that really kind of did a wholesale revamping of something. We've seen a lot of sequels that, Black Ops multiplayer, like refinement. I mean, yeah, in terms of like original IPs that stand out, I mean, this is like Bayonetta and Red Dead Redemption. Even though Red Dead, there's a very clear GTA model that's underneath
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Granted, Bayonetta, there's a Devil May Cry model
course.
that's also underneath that. But those are the two that really stand out as original IPs that I would love to see revisited and really show something fresh that I could not put down. It is not a fair representation, John Galt. You're absolutely right. Nonetheless, we will still represent ourselves in that fashion. But I think the other thing
It's
we're
like
going to do...
it's like the whole Activision thing. If when people stop buying Call of Duty, they'll stop making
at
it. When
the
people
same
stop
time-
winning their top 10 lists and their best of the year, stop doing it, right?
What we will
Right?
also do on the site is
Right.
that, where there will be that G4, G4TV.com, all that best of the year, all the editors, they can also list out what their favorites were.
Yeah.
So if there's some that you like more than others, check out their list and see if there's a game of that you haven't played. Thank you so much, John Galt, and thank you so much to the panel for giving up 45 minutes away from Black Ops to sit here and talk about
Just
Black
have
Ops.
3 more levels on Veteran.
I mean, it's kind of like when you're talking about like restaurants that have really good food while you're hungry and you haven't had lunch yet.
Yes.
That's kind of what we just did right here.
Yep.
And we probably did it to our audience. Let's not waste any more time. Go back to shooting people in the face. 32 games enter, 1 leaves. Yes. Video Game Deathmatch. It's up on our site. This is kind of a bracket-based deathmatch of the best games of the year to determine, per our viewers and the bracket system, what the best game of the year is, which will be revealed on XPlay's Best of 2010 special airing December 14th. Get on the site, vote early, vote often. It's the Chicago way.